Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Colts Cast. We are here to talk about everything and anything Indianapolis Colts. My name is Eric Smith, co-host of the dreaded Indianapolis Colts Cast. Alongside me, as always, I have co-host Jamal Lawrence here.
Yo.
Please be sure to follow us on social media. Hey, you know what?
Bump the yeah. Let's go ahead and skip
Bump
it.
the social media. I mean, y'all know us, the Colts Cast on Twitter, Instagram, at ColtsCast, YouTube, we're up on there. We're probably not going to be up on here any longer very soon. If I have to watch one more Colts game this season, the Colts fall to 4-10-1 after this Monday Night Football primetime loss against the Los Angeles Chargers. I don't know about you, Jamal. This has got to be the worst game. I don't know. The Vikings game was really bad too, but at least it was fun. It was fun for the first half. This entire game, our offense,
ugly, sloppy.
I know you want to. I know you want to talk your stuff, but
go ahead, bro. Nah, go ahead. Take off.
I can't do this anymore. I don't want to watch a Colts game anymore. I almost came up for this game. I almost came up right after Christmas to see this Monday Night Football game. I was like, man, Colts at home. You know, they're going to put up a fight against the Chargers. No. This would have been the worst Colts football game to go to this year. There were boos all throughout the building. Nick Foles. Where do you want to start? Because
I'm starting pregame.
Yeah.
I'm starting pregame.
Okay.
During ESPN Monday Night Football, where they did a Jim Irsay interview where he was talking his talk. And I was so glad they did this because we needed to hear. You know, we haven't heard enough. We've seen plenty of games of Jim riding off in his golf cart into the game with that sad look on his face. But finally, we got a chance to kind of hear his thought process of what's going on. And there were a couple things that really just shook me when he was talking. They were asking him questions about firing Frank Reich, how he felt about that. Jim Irsay said he reluctantly signed Frank to that extension. Reluctantly signed him to that extension, which is weird to me because I'm pretty sure last year at the end after we lost that Jacksonville game, after he had this, quote, stern talk with Frank and all of this, they talked about how they were excited, ready to move forward with the team, looking into this year to see what was going on. So I don't know where the reluctancy was really coming from because you kind of made yourself a hypocrite for what you just said, or what you said at the end of last season and the beginning of this season. You wouldn't have extended him had you not thought he was the guy. So I was like, don't really agree with that. The second thing he said I didn't agree with. He said he still thinks very highly of Matt Ryan. He still thinks that Matt Ryan is one of the greatest quarterbacks. And I just don't understand what he's seeing with that either. I mean, because
he's got to be talking about career-wise.
Yeah. Definitely career-wise.
Got to be, right?
Yeah. But, I mean, even career-wise, I mean, you got to look at all this stuff sideways. Next, he talked about Jeff Saturday. He said he instantly engaged with Jeff after the Patriots game. He said that if Jeff wasn't all in and he wasn't ready, Reich wouldn't have lost his job that same week that he talked to Jeff. He said he would have waited out a little longer. He didn't say how long, so it could have been until Jeff was ready. Because I'm going to assume, based off of what he said, that he had no other coaches in mind. He didn't want to go with any other coach except for Jeff Saturday. So let's just think about it for a couple minutes. If Jeff would have said no, Frank would have still been there right now, probably coaching these last couple of games. Would he be in the same boat for one? Probably. Secondly, would we have less pressure or more pressure on the Chris Ballards, on the offensive coordinators? Oh, I mean, we can't really have any pressure on the defense because they've been playing lights out. So I'm just a little confused on the thought process of how he went through this one with, just making sure that Jeff Saturday was his guy. And the last thing was they just talked about the Rooney Rule. Of course, it's not really in effect during the interim period. So he did say that he knew he wanted Jeff. And going forward, of course, after the season, they'll abide by the Rooney Rule as per protocol, where they'll give everybody an opportunity to apply for the job and et cetera. But I just don't know. And with my conscious mind, I would like to think that he wouldn't even entertain Jeff being the head coach moving forward. But, I've seen Jim Irsay do plenty of crazy things in his past, present, and I can only see him doing it in his future as well. But besides all of that, Eric, most importantly to me, out of that entire conversation was his one quote he said, and I quote, Chris Ballard will be the GM next year. Chris Ballard will, W-I-L-L, be the G as in general, M as in manager next year. I don't understand that. I don't understand it. That's all.
Well, I didn't expect him to say anything bad about Jeff Saturday. It is interesting, he still believes he's an outstanding candidate. He didn't have to, fall in love with him during this segment. But, yeah, I don't know. I think he's a professional tanker. Like, Jim Irsay knows what he's doing. He's getting us a top 5 pick. He's saying what needs to be said. Now we've seen a lot of the front office go back on their words about Frank Wright, Matt Ryan, things like that. So I don't know. This could all just be a ploy to get the tank in, to be nice, play Mr. Nice Guy. I know a lot of people aren't happy with the Chris Ballard statement though. A lot of people want to see Chris Ballard out, myself included. I think his time is done. Just like Frank Wright, just like Matt Ryan. I think they all need to go in a trio. But yeah, I hear you, Jamal. It was an interesting conversation, to say the least. But
yeah, definitely interesting. And the last thing I want to say about that, and I promise we'll talk about the game. Adam Schefter said at the end, and of course, I take everything with a grain of salt because I know that journalists are just doing their job. But of course, Schefter gets a lot of information. So he also said that Jim Irsay was looking to talk to college coaches, as far as, possibly moving up to the NFL. Now, I know as time goes on, more of this will come out. And I would assume when he says college coaches, we can drop the S off the coaches and, or the ES off there and just insert Jim Harbaugh. But I don't know. I could be wrong. But besides him, I'm not a big fan of bringing these college coaches up to the league, especially just because I look at the rotational door you have of recruiting. In the NFL, you're not recruiting anymore. And I know that a coach has to, put in that work and then get to the league, etc. But when you have that rotating door for recruiting and all of this good jazz, you're selling a dream to a kid who's going to come in and work as hard as he can, and you're going to play against, good teams, bad teams, etc., blah, blah, blah. And the NFL is not, it's an even playing field. Everybody is at an elite level there. So I just kind of don't like to get too hung up on the college coaches coming into the league, because typically there's a reason why they're in college. It's because they can't figure out how to run an NFL team because it's a completely different ballgame. We look at the Nick Sabans. We look at the Jim Harbaugh. Well, he did good when he was with San Francisco, but then he dropped back down after that. And I just look at so many of these offensive coaches. Cliff Kingsbury, I feel like after a while he'll go back to college as well. Brian Kelly, he was an NFL coach for a little bit as well, I believe. He went back to college. I mean, these guys, their fit is in college. It's because they have those players who are the top of their class. They're top 100 players every time they step on the field with these major schools, these Power 5 schools. But then when they get to the league, it's an even neutral playing field. So, I don't know. I could be thinking into that way too far, especially this early on. But I just kind of, like I said, unless he's really talking about Jim, which I assume that's what it is, I just don't really want to hear about talking to college coaches when there are plenty of good NFL coaches out there who are ready to step up to the plate. But
yeah, there's definitely a lot of candidates out there. If we're talking about Jim Harbaugh, he has been successful in the NFL. I want to say, I mean, he has a winning record, definitely. I think it's up there in the 60 or 70%. So yeah, he's definitely found success in the NFL, and I would be happy if we somehow landed him.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I agree, Jamal. Some people they can't coach at that level. It's just not for them. We've seen it happen before. But boy, what happened with this Chargers game? I know we're gonna start with the offense.
You got to.
0 for 10 on third down. How do you do that? How do you not convert 1 third down? I mean, y'all have to explain that to me. 173 yards of total offense. Can't even get 200 total. Chargers defense isn't that great either. Like, just this season. Nick Foles. It's really funny, actually, because I think we said, hey, Nick Foles, Sam Ehlinger, they're definitely going to be better options than Matt Ryan. No.
That was a lie.
Yeah, I guess Sam Ehlinger could be a better option, but I think we know Nick Foles is definitely not the answer. 17 for 29, 143 yards, 4.9 yards per attempt to go along with 0 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Also took 7 sacks. Not all on him, but he took 7 sacks. Nick Foles was atrocious this game. This might have been the worst quarterback performance I've ever seen this season. I mean, he overthrew Jelani for a bad pick for his first pick. Then the next drive, boom, just missed to Paris Campbell. I think he was trying to throw a lob up there, but I think that was a bad pass in general. We probably shouldn't have done that anyway. He would have had to been perfect to hit Campbell, but of course, during James, he jumped that. Then the third interception. I mean, just can't read coverages. I don't understand. At that point, I was just sitting there, just give Sam Ehlinger a chance. At this point, just give him a chance. We aren't winning this game. We're not beating the Giants next week. We're not going to even beat the Texans. We are the worst team in the NFL. We are the worst team in the NFL. Why? Even though our defense has been above average great, it doesn't matter. Our defense can't always generate points. If we can only put up a fucking field goal a game, it's over. We're the worst team in the NFL. The Texans went to OT with the Kansas City Chiefs. They just beat the Titans last week, a team we can't beat ever.
And they went to OT with the Cowboys, right?
The Texans?
Or they just lose?
I think they lost a close game. They lost a close game. Look, they're fighting. Us, on the other hand, I don't know what we're. I mean, this is some Illuminati tanking at this point, because I don't know what's going on. Zach Moss got to be the brightest spot of the offense of the day. 12 carries, 65 yards. I mean, he averaged over 5 yards per carry. Yet we abandoned that game. We said, Nick Foles, let's put the ball in your hands. Let's see if you can make plays instead of keep running on the ground with Zach Moss, because he was looking good. I kept asking myself, what are we going to do without Jonathan Taylor? He's our star running back. Zach Moss, I mean, we got 2 straight games of him putting up some efficient numbers. I like it. I like the way he's running. He runs differently than JT, of course, but he gets it done. Jordan Wilkins needs to be dropped back to the practice squad after his horrific drop. I'm sorry. I probably shouldn't. Oh, my goodness. These elementary play calls, our receiving core, we're not using them to their full potential. Jelani Woods was our leading receiver for the day. 3 catches, 43 yards. I liked how we were getting him going early. I liked it.
I did too, until they decided to put Mac in there for a play, and I was like, oh yeah, no wonder. But keep going.
That Molly Cox, he must know somebody on the Colts front office, because I don't.
My man got dirt on them, boy.
Yeah. Look, Molly Cox, he's okay. But we now know Jelani Woods is better. Jelani Woods seems to only get targets when Kylan Granson is out. To be the only time, and we've seen him flourish with these targets. So I'm not saying get rid of Kylan Granson, but that there seems to be a correlation with giving Jelani Woods the ball and our offense moving the chains. Like there's something there, and I hope the coaching staff figures this out for next season. I guess I don't care what they do this season because this season's over. But we need to make sure Jelani Woods is in the game plan next year. Like, we have to. Yeah, Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, Paris Campbell, all of them had sub 40-yard games. They did what they could. This was all, and I mean all, on the quarterback and offensive line play. I can't really fault the receivers. I don't know, Jamal, what do you think? Let me stop talking.
No, everything you said was exactly right, man. It was just sloppy, piss poor game. It was just horrendous watching it. Nick Foles looked like, a thing of molasses moving in the backfield, just taking hits, falling over. Even when he was getting sacked, he wasn't even getting slung to the ground. He was just standing there and take 3 minutes to fall. Like, they'll just fall over. The play is over. It's crazy.
He tried to scramble up past the line of scrimmage, and he just kind of curled up into a baby ball when someone was coming at.
Exactly.
If that's not tanking at its finest, I don't know what is. And yeah, you're right. He could not move in the pocket. He wasn't even aware of the pocket crumbling.
Yep.
When the pocket was crumbling, he couldn't do anything. He looked like a 7th round rookie out there.
Yeah, exactly.
It was bad, man.
It was very bad. And you think, again, in all seriousness, if you're really trying to win, you're gonna put this third string, for what it's worth, all right, second string quarterback, even though he's been third string for what it's worth, couple games he hadn't even dressed out for. Put him in as a first string starting quarterback this week. He gets what, 4 days of reps with the first team, and that's it. And you're supposed to be able. It was a clear on that pass he tried to get to. I think it was Alec Pierce, where they weren't communicating, where he threw it and Pierce stopped on his route, and Foles kept throwing it. That's literally just communication where you're not used to working with the receivers you're around. And it kills me because going back to what you're saying about the elementary play calling, at this point, if you know that we're gonna go over for every third down, man, go as deep as you can in the playbook and start doing the double passes like the Chargers did. Have fun with this. Stop worrying about these little quick 4 and outs, or 4 out passing, not so much 4 and out downs wise, but a 4-yard route and getting the ball back. Stop worrying about that. Go ahead and try to do something fancier, because what do you have to lose? Would you rather have the game more entertaining from you getting lucky on a double pass or a flea flicker or anything, or just go for the steady 3 and out, long, boring, drawn out game where the defense is having to be on the field for well over half of the game? Because it was just horrendous to watch. I just don't understand. We look at that 4th and 1 where we try to go for it on Nick Foles tries to scramble or tries to get the QB sneak. My man couldn't even. First off, the line couldn't even get a 2-inch push. Nick Foles' unathletic self couldn't even get. He couldn't jump over the top. I'm pretty sure, Eric, me, you, or any of the listeners probably could have had a better chance of getting up and getting the ball over there. My man was still reaching for his life 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage. So I didn't really know what was going on there. But I just look at this entire scheme that this team had going on. It's just hideous. Like you said, all receivers under 40 yards, less Jelani. That's just crazy to think about. That's crazy. Nothing was hitting. And we watched Joe Buck, we watched Troy Aikman just laugh the entire game. And I know it's their job to be PC, and they're not supposed to pick sides. But when they started laughing and they're like, well, maybe maybe Sam will get in this drive. Oh, wait, never mind. No, he won't. Come on. What else can you say? You got a Hall of Fame quarterback just picking apart every play and every defense right before the play starts. And it's just like, well, he was right with that. Well, he was right with that. Come on.
Yeah, it was horrendous. I want Sam Ehlinger to get one full game, kind of like Nick Foles did.
Yeah.
In hindsight, I'm kind of glad they didn't throw him to the Wolves down 20-3 quarter when, this offense, they weren't in it anymore. Maybe they could have been. Maybe there could have been a spark with Sam Ehlinger coming in. Doesn't matter. The game was over at that point. But yeah, that 4th and 1 QB sneak, that power didn't generate any, or that line didn't generate any movement. Nick Foles couldn't do anything. I mean, that's what we're gonna do on every 4th and 1. That's all I call out of that. So. Offensive line, they were getting, again, can't blame it all on them, but you got to give Nick Foles a little bit more time to throw a ball, an extra second or two. Just when you're pass blocking for once. Like, I didn't see them actually dominate, really have a super clean pocket at all. Bernard Raymond was getting dominated by Khalil Mack all night. And
did you see the play when they timed Khalil getting the sack? It was like 3.4 seconds. So, I mean, like you said, he didn't even get a chance. Foles didn't even get a chance to develop the play before he got hit.
Yeah, it was bad. I don't really know how Quentin Nelson made the Pro Bowl, but shout out to him.
Popularity contest, man.
Yeah, just this line isn't playing to their standard, to how much money they're making. We all know that. This is the most sacks I think we've given up in a game since being under Jeff Saturday. Mm-hmm. So we know the offensive line is still bad. Jeff Saturday hasn't really changed that all too much. Yeah, offense was awful. Absolutely. I mean, it showed we are the worst team in the NFL. There was nothing that got going. I'm actually rooting for them to put Sam Ehlinger in next week. I want to. We have to at least give him a look at this point, because we definitely don't want to give a look at Nick Foles anymore. I think that was it.
Ship has sailed.
Yeah, the fact that I know you said he hasn't had much first team reps, but come on, man, you won a Super Bowl. You're a 33-year-old vet. I mean, there are things that you weren't doing as a veteran out there. So I don't want to hear that mess.
Been saying those accolades don't mean nothing, dog.
Well, we thought it did. I thought it meant something a little bit. Get Sam Ehlinger in there. Let's see what he's about the last 2 games. We'll get a deeper analysis on him. This could, especially if Chris Ballard's still going to be here, this could sway us into not taking a quarterback in the first round. So,
been saying that.
At least give him a chance. We'll see if it happens. I'm done talking about this offense. Defense.
Oh, hold on. Before you go there, I just want to say this is just a roundabout quote for the entire team. I just don't want to forget it. That's why I'm going to say it. I'm not saying that Jeff Saturday is not a good head coach, because I mean, I can see what he has going on right now. But again, he walked into a shit show. For what it's worth, he walked into a terrible situation. Of course, he didn't have the experience and all that. But I just want to be clear that Jeff Saturday, for all of you fans who are listening, remember, guys, Jeff Saturday is a good talker. He's a good speaker. He can rah-rah you up to make you think that it's something that it's not. It's clear, based off of what he said week by week, oh, this intensity, this. Nothing's produced. Okay, it's actually just the polar opposite of Frank Reich, where Reich would say nothing and you would get nothing. Saturday builds you up, yeah, just to disappoint you. You know, that's all it is. Again, I'm not gonna go down a deep dark path of his coaching, but I just want to make it clear that, you know, no matter what he's gonna say at the end of this press conference, he's gonna say it's on me, it's on this, it's on that. Next week, here's our game plan. Remember, it's fluff. He's a good speaker. He's going to make you feel comfortable. He's going to make you feel good. Even though you know there's no positive outcome, he's going to make you feel good for just that brief second of time while he speaks. So just remember that. Don't get too excited for what's to come for the next 2 weeks.
He could very well be your next head coach in the 2023 season.
Defense, what's up?
Defense. I feel bad for this defense. This Gus Bradley defense, it's good. It's a really good defense. I really think so. They gave up 20 points. That's fine. That's really fine. But, you know, when your offense can't do anything and you're on the field all the time, there's only so much you can do, man. There's just so much, you know. But yeah, the defense, I mean, they started off the game hot, you know. DeForest Buckner, I mean, he showed us why we paid him so much. He showed us why he was worth a first-round pick. He got a great 3rd-and-1 stop at the beginning of the game, forced a 3-and-out. Zaire Franklin, little pass deflection, tipped the ball up for Rodney Thomas to intercept that. Intercepting Justin Herbert, that feels good. Happened right after the Nick Foles interception, so we needed that. But yeah, I thought the defense played really well. You know, we got a couple sacks in there. I think we got 4, actually. So DeForest Buckner looked really good. Dio Odenigbo looked really good. Got to the QB a lot. Got 2 QB hits, 1.5 sacks, 1 tackle for a loss. Kwity Paye didn't fill the stat sheet, but he was playing well. I really thought the defense they did their thing. Even after the multiple Nick Foles interceptions, I think they did a lot of good things. Like right before halftime, they held them to a field goal, even though, Chargers got, amazing field position right after that turnover. So they held them to field goal. It was 10-3 at half. Like that's good. Even though the Chargers got the ball right back. But I mean, we were setting up opportunities for the offense. The offense just couldn't capitalize. Defense started to break down. The same thing that happens the last 2 or 3 Colts games. Defense breaks down after a while. It happens when your offense can't produce.
Yep, exactly right. Exactly right. You're 100% right. Defense did what they're supposed to do. Looked good. I mean, I think the defense got the turnover early, and the offense turned it over the very next play. I mean, that's demoralizing. It's all demoralizing. And these guys still played their heart out the entire game. A very sloppy game overall. So, and again, like you said, even though the defense led up with those points, I mean, for what it's worth, for what we had going on, the Chargers only capitalized off of fatigue. I feel like they only capitalize off fatigue. I mean, there's only so much you can do when you're having to let a team go for a 70, 80-yard drive because if you get them off the field, then we're just going to give the ball right back to them. So, yeah, defense, I like what they did all game long. I'm not mad at them. And like you said, Eric, it just sucks to have such a talented defense, especially because I was the biggest hypocrite at the beginning of the season. I said I hate the fact that we're not going to be blitzing. I really wanted to see a lot of pressure on the blitz. But even without the pressure being to the quarterback, they've been really good overall. Really good overall. Grove has had a great season. D-Bucks had a great season. Yannick, even though it didn't feel like it, he's had a great season. When we have Kwity Paye in there, he's doing his thing. So it's just frustrating. It's just frustrating to see it because, I mean, there's nothing positive you can really even give. We can give the defense praise, but again, when we look at the scoreboard, you're going to be like, well, looks like they just let it all up. But none of that's indicative of how they played because for this, I don't know how many weeks in a row, offense has not put up more than 6 points, and it's just bad. So,
yeah, I mean, we held, even though the Chargers' run game isn't anything to write home about, we held them to 3.2 yards per rush. Justin Herbert, he didn't throw any passing touchdowns. I mean, he was 24-31 for 235 yards, but really, they were set up so well off some interceptions and turnover. It just, I do think Keenan Allen was eating us up. He had 11 catches for 104 yards, and Mike Williams, 4 catches, 76 yards. They had a couple big plays, but even then, if we had a competent offense, that game is very competitive. Motion sway one way. Yep. We got morale, different type of energy going into the fourth. If it's like a 3-point game, everything changes there. Derwin James, he got ejected for that big hit on Ashton Dulin.
Ooh, yeah,
that was terrible. I can't really decide whether it doesn't look like he had ill intentions. It looks like he made contact with his helmet with the shoulder first, and then it kind of just, it kind of just fell through. But Dulin got obliterated right there, and I hope he's okay.
Yeah, I hope he's okay too.
I mean, the guy definitely loaded his helmet, so He got ejected, but not really sure. A lot of people call that a clean hit. I don't know if I'll call that a clean hit. It looked pretty defenseless to me, but it's hard to make those calls. Whether it's called targeting in college, but they just call it unnecessary roughness. Unnecessary roughness. Yeah, unnecessary roughness in NFL. But hope he's okay. I don't know what to do about this team. I can't wait till the offseason. I think that's what it's all about right now. It's what are we going to do in the offseason to improve this team?
If let's see, the last game is on 2 weeks from now. Is that right?
Should be. We should have 2 games left.
Yeah, on 2 weeks from now, so 14 days from now, because our last game will be on a Sunday, which actually I think it's TBD on the 7th or the 8th, so it'll probably get flexed out to Saturday. So let's say then if it's on Saturday, Chris Ballard should be fired immediately after that last game. There should just be zero conversation about it. The discussion should be done. He should be packing up his stuff. Everybody else should be moving their stuff out of the building, and we can just talk about it all off season long. There is no reason why on January the 9th, Chris Ballard is still the general manager of the Indianapolis Colts. That should be long gone by that point.
Jim Irsay already told you that's going to be the case. So,
man, listen.
Unless he goes back on his words, which now at this point I don't think he will, Chris Ballard will be drafting come April.
So wild to me. So wild. Chris Ballard hid like a toddler this entire season behind his mom's leg, or I should say his daddy's leg, Jim Irsay. Didn't do anything. Let everybody take the downfall for his. Well, and I really do think here's my conspiracy theory. I think that Jim Ballard, it should be their names. Jim Irsay, as I've said before, is starting to have this Jerry Jones effect where he always has his hands in the pot. And I look at Chris Ballard as a yes man to him. He's gonna say okay. He's not gonna fight with him. He's not gonna combat with him. He's gonna just be like, okay, we'll do this, we'll do that, because we already know Ballard doesn't like to spend money. Super conservative. He doesn't want to spend any money. He wants to try to work from within, get this talent without having to go the real route that you need to go in the NFL to get that generational talent like you need to. Again, like we've said 100 times before, no player is guaranteed to be your franchise player. We all understand that. However, you do know with your lower draft picks that these guys are supposed to be, in theory, your generational players. So as long as Ballard can sit there and say, okay, all right, that's fine, we'll stick out the way we have. I think Jim Irsay likes that because Jim Irsay want to have his hands in the pot. I'm sure there are plenty of general managers out there, the John Lynches and these guys. Of course, Kyle Shanahan's a great coach, but the John Lynches and these guys who probably rule with a tight fist as a general manager. They want to be able to do their job to the best of their ability, not have the owner stepping in and dabbling in every single time you want to make a move on something. And I've watched Jerry Jones do it for years, which is why he's the president, the CEO, the blah, 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 blah. Everything under the sun, except for what he needs to be, is just the owner. I feel like Jim Irsay is trying to get to that point where he runs every single thing, and it's his way or no way, but he still tries to keep the public persona of this like cool guy. You know what I mean? And I just don't think it's, I don't know, man. It's just not sitting right with me. It's just not sitting right.
No, yeah, he's definitely got his hands in the pot, and he has a lot of influence, and we've seen it already. We've seen a lot of fires, seen a lot of moves, but it's just been. It's been an awful season. It's been a forgettable one. I'm ready for the season to be over.
Yeah.
Like I said, what do we do in the offseason to get better from here? We've hit rock bottom. What do we do to get out from the bottom? We got the draft coming up. We have off-season moves coming up. Can we get some players in the offseason? Can we move Matt Ryan? Things like that. Who do we draft in the first, second, third round? All of that. Who's going to be our next OC? Who's going to be our next head coach? There are a lot of things to fill before next season, and I can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah, there are. And last thing I want to say is this is why I don't think that Sean Payton will probably get the job, because he ain't going to take it from Jim Irsay or anybody else. He ain't got time for that, man. This man trying to win. But anyway, that's all.
If we land Sean Payton.
Boy. He's already cooking up his coaching staff, man. He knows what he wants. He knows what he wants. Now let him go out and get a quarterback that he wants. Why not?
I'd be so down for that, but I don't see it. I don't see it.
No.
But get my hopes up. Do something. That's going to be it for us, everyone. Thank you for listening to the Colts cast. I hope you had a better night than us watching that horrendous game, but it can only get better from here.
Let's hope so.
We are live on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any platform you use to listen to podcasts. We'll be back next week to give you some more. Well, not next week. Next time to give you some more Indianapolis Colts content. Y'all take care.
Take care.